Oh, hey there, everyone. It's Dave Barnett with the investlocalbook.com blog site. I wanted to share a little story with you because I was just driving around and I passed one of those big mini storage businesses where you have the long buildings with all the little 10 by 10 units and whatnot. And I'm going to call this story, Mini Storage Mess. Probably about 6 years ago, I was approached by someone who had some land for sale. And what was interesting about this land is that it was zoned industrial in a bedroom community that had almost no industrial zoned land. And I looked up the zoning bylaw, and one of the things that struck me was that it said that this type of land specifically could be used for mini storages. It was one of the listed uses. And so I called the city hall and I said, because it's listed as being a permitted use of the property, does that mean that I have to go before some sort of board or committee to get approval for this project or what? And they said, well, basically all I had to do was bring the plans in, and they would check it for things like turning radiuses for fire trucks and just all the regular standard stuff that they do when they check a new building, and they would issue a building permit. So the piece of land that was available was a good sized lot, and the person who wanted to sell it was under a little bit of duress, and I was able to buy it for $40,000. But I did not want to put myself in a position where I was speculating on this project and borrowing a bunch of money. So I wanted to do it as a pure equity play. And I actually put together a group of 9 individual investors. And we created a corporation and we sold shares. And I think the smallest shareholder put in $3,000 for 3,000 shares. And the largest shareholders put in 12,000. And I think I had put in 10. So we had money in the bank. And we bought the piece of land, paid cash for it, and then we went and found a builder who was experienced in commercial construction. And we had spoken with him before we bought the land. He read the zoning bylaw. He proposed, and he was had a relationship with a manufacturer of these steel storage buildings. So he made a proposal to us with a certain size building that he could fit on the property, and the number of units, and the math made sense. It was going to be a good return on investment. We were going to earn about 18%. And what the plan was to have 40% equity and borrow 60% from a bank. Having so many shareholders, one of the things that came up is that none of the shareholders wanted to be personally liable for the loan. So we dealt with a bunch of different banks and talked with them, and none of them would do a mortgage without personal liability from the shareholders. Except I did get a deal from an offer from a credit union where they agreed that they would do a 60% loan-to-value loan on the project if each shareholder personally signed a $5,000 guarantee. So, which is very different from a joint and several guarantee where everyone is basically all guaranteeing the entire amount of the loan. So all the partners agreed to that. We all signed off on it. We got approved for the mortgage, and the builder was called by the manufacturer about a price increase and told that they had a unit like the one he wanted to buy there that had been manufactured that the buyer had fallen through on. And did he want it, they would make him a great offer. So he bought it. So the steel building arrived. The mortgage was approved. The builder went to City Hall to get his building permit and was told, no, you can't have one. And he said, what do you mean we can't have one? We've already spoken to you guys. The zoning bylaw specifically says that this is a permitted use on this piece of land. And they said, yes, but it's zoned industrial. And this was in the town of Riverview, New Brunswick. And they said, but the town of Riverview, New Brunswick has another document here. It's called an industrial development plan. And it says that anything being built on industrial land has to go before the Planning Commission, which was entirely news to us and to the builder, who wasn't a newbie. He had 30 years experience in commercial construction and had built things all over, this area and in that community before, and had never been faced with this issue before. So we had to go to the Town Planning Commission, and the people at the commission were a bunch of counselors, and they looked at the project and they said, well, this could be unsightly, so we're going to require a privacy fence, and we want you to pave the area around the storage building, and we want you to put curbs on your driveway, and we want you to plant trees and shrubbery in your front yard, kind of thing. And they created this whole list of requirements for the building, and none of the improvements, of course, created an opportunity for increased profit or sales. The builder even argued that the road didn't have curbs on it. And he said, if we put curbs on our driveway, when you rebuild the road and add curbs, it could be at a different grade. They might not match. To which the commissioner said, oh yeah, but you can just rebuild them at that time. Anyway, the additions that the Planning Commission wanted were going to add about $60,000 to the cost of building the project. And our rate of return fell from 18% down to 4%, which was actually less than the interest rate the credit union was going to lend us money for. So if we had moved forward with the project, the credit union was going to make more off of it than we were. And that didn't sit well with us at all, so we scrapped the whole project and put the land up for sale. Unfortunately, the builder got stuck with that steel building, and he had put effort into it, designing, drawing, he had surveyed the lot. So we went to him and said, we would like to pay you for the time that's gone into this, but we didn't have a building permit. We don't want to take responsibility for the fact that you bought the building. And he agreed to that. He was very reasonable. So we paid him a few $1,000s for the time and effort that had gone into the project from his people. And then we sat on that land for a year and a half waiting to sell it. And boy, am I glad we didn't have a mortgage on it. It was one of the nicest things about having an all-equity deal. With no debt, there were no payments. We were able to sit and sit and sit, and we even had money in the bank to pay the taxes on it. And then eventually when it was sold, we distributed the money, we disbanded the corporation, and at the end of the day, everyone got 83 cents back on the dollar for the money that had gone in. So the risk in that deal had been managed, but it taught me a really important lesson, is that when you get into any kind of real estate development deal, you are in partnership with basically these municipal officials that you can't control, and you can ask them straight up questions about what you can and can't do, and you can't really trust what they say. And it's one of the reasons why I sort of have a little bit of a disdain for real estate deals, and I've got a lot of respect for people that are able to get into that business and make money consistently, project after project. Anyway, that's the story of the mini storage mess, and it shows how even the best laid plans can be set to ruin by government officials who have power over everything. Anyway, we'll talk to you later, and have a great day. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. That's great. Don't forget, visit www.investlocalbook.com. Sign up for my email list. It's right down here under the welcome video. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.